びの時代は終わる。
Hello my beautiful Lodi Cakes, it's your boy, Ambush Flavor here, back with another video. And for today, I'll be doing a new part of What If Deku Was in No Game No Life, Part 5. I really hope you enjoy, and that out of the way, let's begin the story. We last left off when Izuku Midoriya, our main protagonist, with Shiro and Sora, as well as Jibril and as well as their other companions, went back to Izuku's world, or should I say, the MHA world. So, Izuku, after bestowing them upon the light, they opened their eyes to see they're back in their room. To be fair, the time that it took for them to disappear was about just 2 weeks. And that's for the whole No Game No Life series, essentially, including the manga and the unwritten chapters and stuff. So, Izuku was wondering, why are we still in our room? Which they eventually checked out the calendar and they saw that, yeah, it was just 2 weeks. It didn't left, and essentially saying that, what? Wait, 2 weeks? Dang. Okay, that was fast. We did that fast. Huh. Maybe it's because of the time difference, maybe? Of the dimensions? I don't know. Maybe other frequencies and stuff like that? I don't know. Which, Izuku was pondering this and stuff because he's doing calculations in his head of why this is happening. Which eventually Shiro just says, Izu, don't think too hard. You're gonna have a migraine if you think that hard. Which while they were talking, Steph, Jibril, and the gang, or you could say Izuna's grandpa, as well as Miko, was wondering of how advanced are they. To which what they saw was, typical computer and stuff like that, and it was more compact. Like, when they saw Sora and Shiro's, essentially, gaming setup, and they saw that, oh, it's so compact, and essentially, if in No Game No Life, they didn't show this, but if it was going to be in the Beast Nation or the War Beast Nation, I would say that it would be more of it wouldn't be this small or this compact for it to be doing VR and stuff like that. So I would say it would be about a building, more of a house size or something like that, or server room or something like that. But to see something that's compact and essentially give off almost the same performance in the same as the War Beast design was very, very, very intriguing to the War Beast, as well as Miko, because she was very, very interested in this, essentially, or this product, or you could say, or this model of what Shiro made, or what Shiro and Sora made. To which eventually Izuku, Sora, Shiro, after discussing a few moments, eventually walked back to the group and says, this is our world. Make yourselves at home. But I think Izuku over here is going back to his apartment. If I'm correct, Izuku. To which Izuku just says, "Yep, I'm going back to there. Just grabbing a few things, and hopefully my mom doesn't, get worried about me so much." To which, what happened is that everybody says, "Oh, okay, it's fine." To which Shiro just says, "Can I come with you, Izu?" To which Izuku just says, "Well, you're my girlfriend and all, so sure, why not?" because in those years, while they were in the No Game No Life universe, they were essentially, you could say, having a relationship. You could say a a, a more than relationship, and it was actually quite cute. And yeah, so they eventually went back to Izuku's apartment. And if you might be wondering how Shiro is being like, normal and stuff, because Izuku is holding her hand. Remember what I said? If I remember, uh, they can't go without each other in the anime. They can't go out. Shiro and Sora can't go for a long distance without each other. So because of I guess Sora and Shiro having those experiences in the No Game No Life universe, they eventually learn to separate and stuff like that, and become their own beings. But still, they're more powerful as blank. So yeah. So eventually, when Shiro and Izuku arrived in Izuku's apartment, what happens is that Izuku asks Shiro, "Are you ready?" To which Shiro just says, "Yes, I'm ready." To which, when Izuku opens the door, he was immediately knocked out. If you might be wondering why, well, let's continue. Well, eventually, after being knocked out and all seeing black, Izuku eventually woke up on a couch, to which Inko was crying profusely. to which Izuku just said, "Oh, Mom, what happened?" To which Inko just says, to which when Inko looked at Izuku and said, "Oh, sorry, my baby boy. I'm really sorry. I thought you were an intruder," and essentially stuttering and stuff like that. But luckily Shiro managed to calm down Inko a little bit, so that she wouldn't essentially explode, or essentially a term, or to make her more stressed out, as you could say. But yeah, to which Izuku just says, "That still hurts, but it's fine. Well, being a god isn't. You're still mortal. Well, that's fine. Okay, so, sorry about that, Mom." To which Inko actually caught that and said, "Izuku, what do you mean by god?" To which Izuku just, oh yeah, right. You don't know. To which Izuku explains everything that happened. To which Inko was very, very worried. And I do mean worried, because there were multiple times that Izuku was almost going to, let's say, almost gave up his life, you could say. So Inko was very, very worried about that. To which, luckily, in their pledges, essentially, Izuku explains the pledges that there are no killing, there are no violence, so you can't essentially kill someone, so it's fine. So, but she was really scared that Izuku would be hurt and stuff like that. To which Izuku just says, "It's fine, Mom. It's no biggie." To which Inko just says, "But still, what happened? Why did you? Why essentially why? Why did you go to that universe or dimension? I don't care, but why?" To which Izuku explains, saying that, sorry about that, but Izuku explains that that the reason why he went to that world is because, to be fair, the only person that cared for him was you. To which was his mom. To which Izuku said, "You, Mom, Sora, and Shiro." To which nobody cared about me. If you didn't know, while you were gone overseas, I was being bullied by multiple people, and they essentially just. I don't know how I can say this, Mom, but they essentially bullied me so much that eventually I dropped out of school. Which, yeah, sorry about that, Mom. To which Inko was a little bit sad because, her baby boy is, being bullied and stuff, and dropping out of school is certainly difficult for a parent. So if you are a parent, or if you have a mother and you essentially drop out of school, it would be hard for them to be, because they essentially invested a lot of their time and money for this, and for you to just be successful in the future. So yeah. But Izuko just says, "Don't worry, mom, I have the logistics plan, but I still want to be a hero though, if it's alright with you." To which Inko just said, "How are you going to be a hero? You essentially didn't go to high school. You dropped out." To which Izuko just says, "There's not only one way to become a hero." If you didn't know, mom, if you didn't know, in our first society, after the very first quirk was established, we essentially didn't have a hero license before, if I'm correct. We essentially had a hero license just recently, or if it isn't recently, it is not, and I do mean it is not essentially Generation 1 or Generation 1 quirks, because to be fair, if that were to happen, they would be prepared and they would know that, oh, this would happen, and so on. To which Izuku explains everything, and saying that he would become a vigilante, essentially like a Bruce Wayne, or if you didn't know, Batman. And essentially, Inko pondered about this and said that, well, how are you going to become a vigilante? How are you going to pay for expenses? How are you going to pay for your, essentially everything, for your hero costume and so on? To which Izuku just says, well, I'm gonna be starting a company at a tender age of 15. To which Izuku, yes, is 15 in this one. Izuku essentially in this, what if your age essentially stays the same where you came from. Essentially, if your age was when you're sucked in was 15 years old, and you essentially grew older when you went to the other dimension, or to the no game no life dimension, essentially your age would grow there, but what you essentially grow as in this universe is still gonna be the same. Essentially, like what Marco experienced in Star vs. the Forces of Evil, in essentially the Hekapu episode for essentially Dimensional Scissors. Essentially exactly like that. It doesn't depend on the year. If you went back to your normal time, you will still be a tender age of 15, and essentially still go back to being a teenager. To which eventually Izuku started a company. To which, if you might be wondering, what company does Izuku make? Well, Izuku makes high-tech technology, or you could say, essentially high-tech technology that quirkless people can use for essentially use to capture villains or day-to-day use. Essentially, he's from the quirkless people market, essentially, because even though it's a low market, about 20%, if I'm correct, about 20 to 8% of the population are quirkless. That's still a lot if you think about it in the world sense. That's about a billion people who are quirkless that are, going to need this. Plus we don't know about people that have useless quirks, as well as probabilities and stuff like that. So I am not a statistics guy, so I'm not gonna quote on that. But yeah, essentially Izuku made a company for essentially gadgets, and eventually after a few years, he made it to where that he is very, very successful, actually having a lot of branches in his company, as well as essentially more of a eco-friendly, like, let's just say that, a quote-unquote eco-friendly. But to be fair, they still use nuclear stuff like that. But at a safer, essentially Izuku managed to correct the algorithm, or you could say a formula for it to be stable and essentially not that radioactive. Essentially, he cracked the formula and stuff like that. So you might be wondering about that. So if you might be wondering about Ritsu, well, Ritsu is actually helping Izuku with this one. Ritsu is always the feedback for Izuku for essentially every idea that he has, for every gadget that he is going to invent. And eventually, he essentially learns about the stock market and stuff like that, which Izuku, whilst doing stock market alone, has a revenue of about, if I remember, if I'm reading this correctly, was about $20 million US. $20 million US, or 44,885,237 yen and 6 cents, or 0.6 cents, essentially. To which Izuku was, in his field, essentially, of expertise, was very, the number one, essentially, in the number one in the whole world, to be fair. And eventually branched out to, to the gadget industry of heroes, or making eventually hero costumes. To which Izuku eventually managed to do that, and let's just say that Izuku's company has a lot of major deals with a lot of hero schools all around the world, including US, Japan, Korea, as well as Africa, South America, South America, as well as Canada. To which they were happy for their purchase. And essentially, Izuku was actually from learning everything from the No Game No Life universe of how to essentially become a ruler and stuff like that, how to manage finances. Izuku actually became an expert of doing this. He essentially made a lot of profit just because of this, and he didn't need any startup, to be fair. Obviously, in the first run, it wasn't that good, but still, he eventually managed to do that for about 3 years. To which, eventually, Izuku is now in college. Or you could say, Izuku essentially is dropped out of college. He doesn't have a PhD. Nobody knows actually who is the face behind, or who is the creator of the brand, or essentially in his brand as NOGL, or you could say No Game No Life, or NOGNL, No Game No Life, essentially. But Izuku essentially thought of that idea from his experience in the No Game No Life universe and stuff like that. To which, eventually Izuku is in college now, or is in a tender age of 18 or 18 years old. Yeah, a tender age, and I do mean tender age. Just hitting his legal age, or I think legal age, or so on. But Izuku was 18 for hitting college and actually being the greatest entrepreneur that the world has ever seen. To which Izuku was living a normal life, to be fair. He still has a lot of money, to be fair. He still lives like normal, but he bought a house. The house being, just a normal everyday house. A typical consumer of essentially a typical consumer of a house that has 4 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms for the people living in it, plus an extra one for guests, 3 bathrooms, 2 of them being part of the master bedrooms, which are there too, and as well as there's a dirty kitchen, as well as living room, and as well as the how can I say, the balcony, as well as a swimming pool. Just a typical house that isn't that big, but is essentially affordable for essentially a dream home. But yeah, eventually Izuku, because of his connections in the industry, Izuku actually managed to hire the Oraraka, the Oraraka Corporation for essentially finances for their company, for, or should I say engineering. Essentially, if I remember correctly in the anime, Uraraka's parents are engineers, or if I remember, civil engineers, to which Izuku actually connected with them on a actually one of a coincidence. To be fair, they were essentially in the same grocery store, and actually Izuku was very very invested because of they were talking about their essentially of their revenue and stuff like that. To which they were surprised that Izuku knows a lot about this, and Izuku just made up a dumb excuse that saying that, oh, I was just learning from essentially HeroTube and so on, which they bought it obviously. Uh, to be fair, Izuku essentially made the Uraraka company big. Essentially, they don't need money. Essentially, they don't need money. To be fair, they have a lot of money, but the thing is, because of the debt that they have due, this is actually quite recent. So Izuku only has been partners with the Uraraka family for the Uraraka Corporation for about a year. To which it's not that long, but still, it's they're not fully out of debt yet. So still, to which Uraraka met Izuku actually. To which to which they actually have a bond, and as well as Shiro being a little bit jealous, as well as Jibril and Steph. To which let's just see that love triangle. To be fair, to which Izuku just met with Uraraka and actually became friends with her. Not, intimate friends, but, best friends, you could say that. So yeah. Eventually on the day of Izuku's birthday, which was when he was 18, they essentially talked about college in the future, because Uraraka wanted to be a hero because of to help with the financial needs of her parents, or should I say, or being independent essentially, or even though they have a company with the greatest company in the world, Izuku essentially was, how can I say this? Izuku was essentially the reason why they became that big. So the Oraraka essentially, Ochako was actually really smart in this one, and essentially prepared for their families if eventually the NOGL the NOGL corporation is going to eventually pull the plug pull the plug for that for the company of the Oraraka company essentially. So she still wants to be a hero for that, to which Izuku was pondering, because he was still making a suit for himself, because even though he has these types of skills, like for example his passive skill, which is Ritsu, his skill 1, which is Vertigo, skill 2 Mirage, skill 3 Inferno, and ultimate skill Overpass, he still needs a powerful suit, because if you don't have a suit for this, you essentially will just be a person, or a sitting down, or a glass cannon, you could say. All firepower, no essentially defense, you could say. So Izuku was essentially having a hard time to find the right flexibility, the right essentially the right material to use. But eventually he discovered a material was carbon based, which was essentially the same form as
or the same crystal lattice of a diamond, to which it was same as the hardness of a diamond, which was pretty, and I do mean pretty strong. To which eventually Izuku managed to, use this for essentially for testing purposes, which was after his birthday, which was at night. Izuku was essentially roaming the night, essentially just looking down in his city, just thinking of what happened for the past essentially years, or essentially the past 3 years that he has his company, and what he learned from it, essentially from all of the business deals that he has done, as well as all of the shady business that goes around essentially business. So yeah, Izuku eventually just sat there for about an hour or two before he discovers essentially a robbery, which there was a person that was actually watching him from afar, which the person is I'm not gonna say just yet, but he wears goggles. I hope that's a lot helpful because there's only one person that wears goggles. Essentially, the person just looks at Izuku of what he's going to do because this is the first time he saw him, essentially. And essentially, Izuku just saved the guy, saved the one being essentially robbed, which was obviously Momo. Momo Yayorozu. You might be wondering why, because it actually fits the story. So yeah, to which Izuku just says sorry there, lass. To which he actually has a accent for this one because he doesn't want anyone to notice his normal accent as well as his hero accent, which Izuku uses a different form of accent, sometimes a British accent or sometimes about a pirate theme accent, essentially, sometimes saying lad or lass, essentially like that. But Izuku just says that you should be careful about that lass. It's too late for you to be out and about. Your parents must be worried about you. To which Izuku was stuttering because this is his first time at the job. Because still, even though he is smart, if you put a person in the exact spot and he doesn't know anything about it, they will stutter. I know that for a fact. So yeah. To which Izuku just says to Momo, to which Momo just says, thank you, good sir. What's your name? To which Izuku just says, I don't have a name. I am just a person that helps people in need. I don't need a name. I don't really need a name because there's no reason for a name if you don't essentially do anything. I don't want a name because essentially they see me as the name. I don't want them to see me as that. I want them to see me as the person who helps people, essentially. To which Momo was actually inspired by this of Izuku's speech. To which Izuku just says, so do you want me to take you back to your house? To which Momo just says, no, I can go back to there myself. To which Izuku just, miss, do you remember, right, that you were almost robbed? Okay, how about this? I compromise with you. How about I walk you close enough to your house, but not close, but not really at your house, and essentially you go from there, so that I can still watch you from afar to know where you are, to know where you are, or you could say to see if there are people that are still looking for you. So, do we have a deal? To which Momo just says, sure, we have a deal. To which Izuku just walks Momo near her house, and essentially Izuku says, bye then, little miss. So I have to go. To which Izuku was jumped away because, yeah, essentially Izuku's suit has a lot of tech. He is essentially the Tony slash Batman of MHA, essentially, in my what if, in this what if. So yeah, Izuku essentially jumped away, to which Izuku, while on the rooftop, said that, I know you're there, come out, come out, come out now, Eraserhead. To which Izuku said to essentially, Aizawa. To which Aizawa just says that, oh, you found me easily. That's actually quite good. Quick question to you, huh? Quick question to you. Do you have a hero license to do that? To which Izuku just, to be fair, no. I just saw her at that moment, so I just helped her out. There's no cost just because you want to help something. To be fair, you don't need a hero license for that. To which Aizawa just says, fair enough, but what's with the gimmick as well? To which Izuku just says, well, I don't leave my home without it because I'm a little bit afraid of, what would happen if essentially a scenario happened for me and essentially I didn't have protection. So this is essentially that. So thank you for essentially for watching over me if I did something wrong, but I can assure you I didn't do anything wrong. I stuck by the code. I don't have a quirk. To which Izuku mentally says, why did you say that? They would think that you don't have a quirk. Which Izuku does have a quirk, but when he said that, he says, okay, he forgot that he had the quirk. Essentially that exact moment, essentially a bruh moment. To which Izuku just says to Aizawa, just, well, you're not breaking any laws, to be fair. Yeah, you can essentially fight villains without using your quirk, which is understandable and so on, but next time leave it to the professionals, kid. You can still you can still learn from heroes and stuff, but I recommend you go into a hero school eventually because the more you learn from that is the moral or the learning experience that you will learn from that is quite a lot, to be fair, because you're essentially going deep in essentially the hero ocean, or essentially a hero ocean. So let me just tell you that it's a big ocean essentially, and there are I do mean a lot of competition of who is going to be popular. To which Izuku just says, I don't want to be popular. I just want to save people. I don't care if my popularity grows or if my popularity diminishes. I don't care for that. What I really want is for me to essentially help a lot of people in need. To which Aizawa was actually quite touched for this because he actually by looking at his physique, he looks more of his essentially more of his 20s or early 20s, you could say. To which he thought of Izuku as an adult, essentially not a college student, but essentially more of having a business and stuff like that still, or essentially a person that has a business like that, or an entrepreneur, you could say. But essentially Izuku just says, well, I have to go, so see ya, I guess. To which Aizawa just says, well, stay safe, kid, and again, leave it to the professionals. To which Izuku just says, yeah, okay. To which Izuku went back to his house, to which Aizawa just thinks about the kid and said that, that kid is very special. He doesn't think about essentially himself. He only thinks about others, how he can save them, which I kinda admire for that. That's actually a good thing to have. To which Izuku just went back home and actually talked to Inko and Shiro, as well as Sora, about this. If if it's good for him to essentially go for a hero school. To which Inko obviously said, yeah, sure, you can do it if you can manage your time. Remember, you're still a CEO of a company, even though I am essentially the quote unquote mask of the company, or essentially the facade of the company that is the quote unquote maker, essentially. But you essentially are the highest, and I do mean highest, grossing person in this room. But still, it's your choice, Izuku. It's your life. I will still support you no matter what. To which Shiro just says, I am with your mom. I will support you either way because I'm your girlfriend. As well as Steph and Jibril said that, saying the same thing. To which Sora just says, well, logistically speaking, you're going to still do it even if we don't, even if we say no to you. If I'm correct, Izuku. To which Izuku just says, yeah, I think I have a lot to learn as a hero than a vigilante. Having a essentially hero talk to me about it. To which eventually they were shocked, and that's where I'm gonna be leaving it off. Sorry guys if it's a little bit jacked, and sorry for ranting on about companies and stuff like that, because in the future I want to be a successful businessman. So sorry for that. It's just I want to pay my way to in the essentially having a good company in the future. I'm really sorry. I just wanted to put a little bit more essentially life to the story. So yeah, I really hope you enjoy. But like I always say, like, comment, subscribe, and see you guys later. Bye!